Hello, another week, another weekly wrap up. I almost forgot to film this until like an hour ago. It is Sunday. And that is because our cruise is in a week. By this time next week, we will be embarking on our cruise ship. So things have been a little hectic. We're very excited. I am likely not going to film anything until after I get back from the cruise. So it's probably going to be like 2 weeks until I have another video up, unless I decide to throw up a video that I already have filmed, but I'm not sure if I really like that project. So I might have something up next week while I'm on the cruise. We'll see. So yeah, reading has been very slow this month. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I think that's because I just want to be on vacation. So I haven't really read a lot, and I did my August wrap up last week, so I actually have 2 weeks of reading. And even though it has been 15 days of September, I've only read 5 things in total. 2 of those things were very short, but we'll just get into it. First, a very quick book haul. I got 2 new books since the last time I talked about new books. The first is The Doll Makers by Lynn Buchanan. I was sold on this by Patrick Leo. I will link his channel down below. He has an amazing standalone review for this. He read it in advance. He says it's a great debut fantasy. It is about this world where people like our main character craft these dolls that are sent off to fight wars, but she is told that her dolls are too beautiful to actually be sent off to fight wars, and the story evolves from there. I don't know much more than that. I did watch Patrick's video, but that was a while ago. I've kind of forgotten most of it, which I like because I like having the base idea, and then I will go on and have everything be fun and new. I think this is going to be the one physical novel I take with me on the cruise, just because it's a paperback. I'm really sold on the idea of reading this I'm in the mood to read this right now, so hopefully I will have read this on the cruise. Otherwise, I'm only taking my e-reader. So that is The Doll Makers by Lynn Buchanan, and this is really beautiful art. And there actually is art throughout the book as well. Let me see. Yeah, so there's like sketches and stuff, which I think is really cool. I think stuff like this should be brought back to fantasy novels. I really do think so. So start of a new series, new fantasy idea, so very excited for that. My second book that I bought, or not that I bought, but that arrived, is my Aardvark box book for September, and that is So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. That makes 2 Rachel Harrison books that I've bought in the last month, but I just love this color. It was worth it for the Aardvark price. Where's Aardvark? Okay, the Aardvark logo is right here. So I like the Aardvark logo so much more on their books than Book of the Month does. So here is the back. Here is the September card. This is our September issue. It's very cute. Here is all the books for the month. And they do a challenge every month, and this challenge is to take one of your Aardvark books on a field trip. Just go somewhere, take a picture of the book, and post it to Instagram. I already did. The link, my Instagram is linked down below. I went to the park really quick, and I did that the day before a big old fire broke out directly to the north of the mountains and just started dumping smoke all over the area. So I'm fine. Our town is fine. I feel bad for the smaller mountain towns up there that are getting just absolutely wrecked, but we're fine down here. The smoke is clearing up a little bit. So thankfully, not too bad. And here is this month's bookmark. These bookmarks are so cute, but I will never use them because this part is so flimsy, and you can see it's already bending a little bit. It's so cute though. And what does this one say? If you see this in public, ask the owner for a book rec. That is so cute. So yes, Aardvark box for September was So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. That's such a striking color. So Rachel Harrison, I read her werewolf novel last year or so. I gave it 2 stars, but just for some character issues I had. I just bought Black Sheep, which is her kind of religious cult novel, and this is her vampire novel. So I'm excited. I'm kind of so-so with her, but I'm hoping that I like the 2 books that I bought because the idea of what she's doing, her concepts are really cool, and I really want to like them because I like that idea of horror. So excited for these. Moving into what I finished in the last 2 weeks since September started. First thing I finished was Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. I gave this 5 stars. This at its purest is incredibly fun, campy, sort of satirical send-up of fantasy and fantasy romance. So the main character is dying in our world, and as a content warning, she is dying from stage 4 cancer. Like, she is, you know, it's a very big part of who she is and a lot of her motivation, and is talked about a lot. So if you do have sensitivities to cancer in any way, just know that going in. She is offered a chance to go into this book series as a character and to find this flower that will cure her, and she can come back and she'll be cured of her cancer. When she goes into the world, she finds out that she has been incarnated into the body of the villainess who dies in the first book. So she has to, first of all, save herself. And then she kind of embraces the idea of being a villain and collects villainous minions and tries to make the book happen while also trying to maneuver herself back into a place where she can get access to this flower. It's a lot of fun. I do think some parts in the middle, the pacing was really good, but I think there were maybe a couple of scenes that I didn't quite appreciate, but also that is where the camp factor comes in. I will say the musical scene was a little too much for me, but if you like musical theater, if you appreciate camp, you will enjoy it a lot. It was a tiny bit too much for me, but it was a lot of fun. The last 50 pages of this got me good, and like, I've seen a lot of reviews that say this was very predictable and they could tell what's happening, but I'm going to be completely honest, I don't do fantasy romance, so if those were fantasy romance tropes, they flew over my head, and I was shocked when, I think I actually took video of when I finished the book, because I was so shocked that I just had to get my reaction on camera. So actually, I will insert that clip now. I do have spoilers, so I will put big spoiler warning on screen. And I will also, when I do get around to putting the timestamps in here, I will include that. But yeah, clip here. Garbage lighting, handheld, whatever, I don't care. I literally just turned the last page on this. Oh. What? Holy fuck! I didn't see that coming! Wow. Yes. I'm here for it. Wow. Okay. There were a lot of stuff just happened in the last like 50 pages. A lot of stuff just happened. Of course, you know, the book that they went into, that's falling apart because Ray is there changing things, whether she means to or not. And the way things change and the way things are going. And I'm gonna spoilers. I gotta talk about this. Like, oh, my hand's hurting. Spoilers. Marius and the Cobra? Eric's backstory? Ray and the Emperor is key? The Emperor is key. I was literally like this when the whole scene was happening. I had to take a moment. I'm stunned. Wow. This is going to be amazing on a reread, knowing what happens at the end. Holy fuck. Okay, so yeah, gooped, gagged, shocked, just all of the above. So 5 stars. I am incredibly interested and excited to see where this goes with book 2 now, with the way that ended. I'm so surprised that I like this as much as I did, but I shouldn't be. And thanks to Ashley at The Answers Books for talking this up and kind of talking about it in a way that made me interested, because when you read the synopsis, it just seems kind of like ho-hum whatever, but this is doing a lot of really interesting fantasy trope work and a lot of satirical work, and a lot of camp. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So 5 stars. Next, I finished Gorgeous Gruesome Faces by Linda Cheng. This is a young adult sort of horror novel, contemporary horror novel about this girl who used to be in a sort of semi-famous K-pop group. They actually came up as part of a TV show, sort of like a Disney-ish show where they were a girl group in the show, but then they parlayed that into a real life girl group. But so yeah, something happens with the group. One of the members dies, and the book takes place 2 years later when our main character and the other member of the group are entering another sort of K-pop sort of survival thing where they have to be the best, and only the cream of the crop who doesn't get cut by the end of the program get to go on to become part of a new girl group. Now, I was drawn to this because it's K-pop. I was drawn to this because of this gorgeous cover. And this read very fast. It is YA. It's very easy to read. It was doing some interesting stuff, I will say. I don't want to go into what is interesting about it because I feel like some of that kind of came out of nowhere, but also seemed to work, and it's not really alluded to in the synopsis. So I will say it is incorporating ideas and cultural concepts that were really interesting, and I will leave it at that. If you're looking for a K-pop group, this isn't really a K-pop group. It is about people who do K-pop, but they're all American characters, the Asian American characters. The book takes place, I think, in Alabama. They were never really a K-pop group in Korea, so it's K-pop adjacent, I think. And even a lot of what they were doing, like, it does take on beauty standards, the harsh, rigorous training, and everything that the girls go through, how they have to be gorgeous, they have to be perfect dancers, they have to be perfect singers. They have a lot of issues struggling with body image and eating disordered eating. So that is touched on here, and that is all a part of K-pop, but the book itself doesn't really feel like a K-pop book. It just feels like a American YA book that is touching on K-pop, if that makes sense. I enjoyed it, but I think this is, I gave it 3 stars, and that's only because I am just completely out of enjoying YA anymore. Like, I know there's still a lot of people who enjoy YA as adults, and that used to be me. If you go to my Goodreads from like 10 years ago, there was a lot of YA I was reading, but I think I've just completely grown out of it. And this was decent. I didn't hate it, which what happens when I try to read a lot of YA these days. So the characters didn't annoy me. They were teens. They were, I think they were like 18 to 20, but they weren't like, they were settled. They felt young, but they still felt grounded. They felt like real characters. They had interesting quandaries, moral quandaries, interesting friendships, kind of toxic friendships. There is a tiny bit of sapphic romance in this. So interesting. If you're interested at all, I think give it a try from the library or read a sample and see if you like it. But yeah, 3 stars. It was enjoyable, just not my thing anymore, and K-pop adjacent. But part of me kind of wants to keep finding some K-pop books, but a lot of them tend to be K-pop romances, which are just kind of wish fulfillment romances. And I've read one, I think XOXO, I forget the name of the author. I will link that down below. I really enjoyed it. There was another one, Once Upon a Prom, something, I forgot. I'll put the cover up here. I enjoyed that too. But they tend to be wish fulfillment teen romances, which is not my thing anymore. So, yeah, Gorgeous Gruesome Faces, 3 stars. For teens, if I was rating this as a teen, I would probably give it a 4 or 4.5, but yeah. And that's such a beautiful cover. Look at her. Yeah. 3 stars. After that, probably a little while after that, I read The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdottir. I did my best to pronounce that, but Icelandic. I do my best to pronounce anything in any language because it just interests me and lights up a part of my brain. But Icelandic is hard, so I did my best with that. Hildur Knutsdottir, I think. So this is a horror novella translated from Icelandic, and this was great. I gave it 4 stars, and it's essentially about this woman who is very fatigued. She's trying to figure out what's wrong with her medically. She buys a fitness watch, and one time she loses it on by accident at night. And when she wakes up, she sees that she's walked like 40-something thousand steps, 40,000 steps at night while she was asleep. And she has to figure out, or while she thought she was asleep. And the story kind of unfolds and unravels from there. This does play into kind of the woman going unhinged kind of trope that I think is very popular right now, but it doesn't quite go super unhinged in a way that I can't really get much buy into in those kinds of books. So this walked a line that I thought was really good. And I don't want to say much. It's short. It's a novella. And honestly, a lot of these pages, she is doing some interesting stuff with the structure. So there are chapters that are literally just single lines, right? Or very, very short single lines. You can kind of see this. But the pacing really works in those chapters. I was reading this, I was sitting in a coffee shop or a tea shop, boba shop, and I was just like, I read this in one sitting, read this very quickly because of the short chapters. And I was like flipping through it and I was like, oh, a line, that's a line, okay. And then I was like doing this and this and I was like, wait, slow down and take it in. Take in exactly what she's trying to do with the pacing and why these chapters are only one line. And I think it worked. For me, it really worked. The ending has been very polarizing for people. I liked it. I actually did a buddy read with this with 2 other people in my book club on Discord, and we had some very interesting discussion about what we thought about the end, and I had a good time with this. So 4 stars, really great translated horror. And I will say, just as a shout out in the author's note, Mary Robinette Kowal, who wrote The Spare Man and the Lady Astronaut series, she translated this, and she apparently in fact met Hildur at like an Icelandic fantasy fiction con, and they got talking, and Mary actually championed Hildur. She translated some samples for her and got that in front of people in the West so that they could be interested in translating her work and taking it on. And I just find that so amazing. Like, not only did Mary like meet someone and was interested in her work, but she really did something to bridge the divide between languages for her. And now Hildur's here with a Tor Nightfire translated debut that I think is doing pretty well, that I hope will do really well. And I really enjoyed it. I love that story. So kudos to Mary, kudos to Hildur for a great English language debut. 4 stars, check it out. Next was a read that went incredibly fast. I don't know why I was surprised that it did. The Vor Game by Lois McMaster Bujold. This is part of the larger Vor saga. And if you don't know, the Vor saga is a classic sci-fi series that follows Miles Vor in a sci-fi world. It's very high political sci-fi, high space opera kind of situation going on, and essentially follow Miles throughout his entire life. I started with the first book, but my first book that I started with was Shards of Honor, and I followed that with Barayar. Those 2 are actually the story of Miles's parents, how they get together, their romance, how Miles is born, what happens in Barayar when Miles, his mother is still pregnant with Miles, that leads to Miles being born with incredible birth defects, and using science they try to save him, but he still is, he's very short, he has stunted growth, he has weak bones, and he is a disabled character. So his mind is very strong, he's incredibly smart, he's incredibly manipulative, and he grows with this, like, essentially he is like very close friends with the young emperor of Barayar, who his father is the essentially adoptive parent of. His father basically ran Barayar until the emperor came of age, you know. So Miles is very highly placed in this world, political world, but he still bucks against the very rigid constraints of what Barayar considers normal. So he is often called a mutant, because of his size, and he struggles against a lot of that, even though he has a lot of privilege in terms of being the son of Errol Vorkosigan and being very close to the highest echelons of power in his world. But he still manages to go on incredible escapades and has to get out of everything with literally just his wits and his smarts and his ability to manipulate people. So this was no different. It's hard to explain what goes on in this because you kind of just have to know a greater working of the entire saga. But essentially, Miles, in a previous book, accidentally created a very large mercenary fleet that he kind of stumbled his way into. And at the end of that book, he left them and he came home to finish his military schooling. In this book, he has left them out there, and then stuff goes on. Political stuff is happening. So Miles has to go out and find his way back to the fleet, and just shit goes down from all corners. Like, just shit keeps hitting the fan, and Miles has to get his way out of it. So it's so much fun. I read this literally in 2 days, like literally in like 1 or 2 sittings. I read half the book each. I found this used paperback. I fucking love this cover. They don't make cover. I want them to make covers like this again. I love how cool covers are these days too, but I want the cheesy fucking covers like this. Also, this cover has nothing to do with what goes on. And I mean, kind of, yeah, but like, it's silly, but it gives you an idea. It's very fun, and I'm trying to collect this entire saga in these old school mass market paperbacks, and so far I have 6. You can kind of see them over here. So far I have 6. I just constantly, when I go to a used bookstore, I look in the sci-fi section and see if I can find them. So Vor Game, 5 stars. I feel like a lot of work Hosigan is going to be 4 to 5 stars. It's going to be hard for something to be under 4 stars in this series. I enjoy it so much. But yeah, 4 stars to the Vor Game. Love Miles, love Vorkosigan. So glad this is used because I literally just dropped it right after I hit stop and it bent. So I am so happy that I'm not precious about my mass market paperbacks. It was already used, and I really am not precious about mass markets. To me, there's a charm to seeing one that has been well worn and used and loved, and like even with the spine crack, there's a charm to it. I like it. Last thing I finished up was a very short story. It was about 50 pages, so I think that probably falls into short story novelette territory. This is The Silent Blade by Ilona Andrews. This takes place in the Kinsman universe, which is basically their pure sci-fi universe. So essentially very, very similar to the Hidden Legacy series, I think. On this planet, a bunch of in the past, a bunch of like bioengineering happened and people were given powers. They found that these powers could be sent down through generations. So a lot of powerful families put a lockdown on anybody else being able to be bioengineered. So it's created these structures of power. They're basically families of power, which is very similar to Hidden Legacy. It's the same thing in Hidden Legacy, just Hidden Legacy takes place in a version of Earth. And what if magic was introduced in the 1800s and these powerful families have magic come down through the family? So same concept, just Hidden Legacy series is urban fantasy romance. Kinsman is sci-fi romance, essentially. So the first one I read in this was Fated Blades, which is a longer novel. But I do believe Silent Blade and Silver Shark, I think, is the second. Those actually came before Fated Blades. And I think I gained a lot more from reading that first one, that longer novel, than I would have if I had read this short story first. So this story is essentially, basically, it's very quick. It's about this young woman who is excised from her family, essentially. They're like kind of like, they're struck from all wills and stuff like that. They live outside the family, but families can use these excised family members essentially to be secret assassins. So she's tasked with murdering someone from a rival family who she was supposed to have been married to in the past, but he refused. And I'll leave it at that. It's very short, so it's about the two of them essentially. It was fine, but like I said, I got a lot more out of it because I had already read the novel. So if you're interested in this at all, I would read the full novel first. That has a much longer story, so much more world building, so much more backstory. a lot more buy-in to the two main characters in that novel than I had with this. This was a fun little quick short story. But yeah, still, as Ilona Andrews, it basically felt like a comfort read for me. I literally read it on a lunch break this week. So I give it 4 stars. It was fun. It was so short, and there wasn't quite a ton of world building, so I didn't really have a lot of buy-in to the characters and their romance, but it was nice being back in the world, and it was nice reading Ilona Andrews, so 4 stars. Currently reading, I'm not really going to talk about what I'm currently reading because I have honestly started and stopped about 10 books this week because I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I know I have stuff that I've listed as currently reading on my Goodreads and Storygraph, but I started those, I got a little bit of ways into, and I have not touched them again, so that's great. And I think I'm gonna just DNF them all to get them off my plate. But I do want to say that I have started Oathbringer, and if you can tell, this is a Kobo. This is a Kobo Clara BW. I just got it because I just want to break myself from the Kindle ecosystem. So I am anointing my cute little tiny little Kobo Clara BW with Oathbringer. I am 2% into it. So I think this is going to be the main thing that I read on the cruise. I am taking the Dollmakers, like I said, but if I read the Dollmakers and finish that, Oathbringer is going to be the rest of it. So I do want to say I'm very excited about the Kobo, and why I went with the Kobo is, first of all, it has Pocket integration, and Pocket is essentially sort of a bookmark for, you can save articles, you can save pages like that to read later through Pocket instead of bookmarking 30, 40, 50 web pages to read later. So you have them all in one saved section, and Clara has Pocket integration. So what I have done is saved all of these short stories posted on Reactor, previously Tor, Clark's World, Uncanny Magazine. I've saved them all on Pocket, and because the Kobo has Pocket integration, I can literally just tap one. Here is Where Oaken Hearts Gather by Sarah Pinsker, and I can literally just read it on the Kobo like that. I'm so excited about this because I've had like 30 to 40 short stories bookmarked for like a year or so. So I'm very excited to read that. I might knock out a lot of these when on the plane to Seattle for the cruise, and just during the cruise too. They're really quick reads. So, and it's really cute. Like, it gives you an estimate of like how long the read will be. I know it's hard to zoom in on this, how long the read will be. Also, what I really like is they have Overdrive. So Overdrive is essentially your library system. So if you heard about Libby, Libby is the phone app for Overdrive, which is where all libraries have their ebook system in. So you can literally you can browse through your library directly on the Kobo. You can borrow directly on the Kobo, and really cool also. Here, Overdrive. I only have one ebook out right now. I just tested it. So The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. So it's on my Kobo, and I can literally I can return it directly from here. So I don't have to open Libby and search on Libby, or on my computer and search in Libby and then get something and borrow in Libby and then come back to my Kobo. I can literally do all that on here if I wanted to. So that's really cool. I know this kind of turned into a Kobo shill kind of section, but I love it. They also have Kobo Plus, which is their version of Kindle Unlimited. The amount of stuff that they have is not quite as broad as Kindle Unlimited, not even close. But I have found a couple of things that I'm interested in. So there's a Premium Muhammad. They have an Uncanny Magazine. They have a short Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So I'm doing a trial right now. They also have a trial of so they have ebooks, they have audiobooks, and they have ebooks plus audiobooks. And the ebooks plus audiobooks is $10 a month. So I'm trying that out now to see if I like it and see if it's worth it, because honestly, the selection is not as big as Kindle Unlimited. But yeah, I'm very excited. So my itty bitty, Where Oaken Hearts Together, because that's the last thing I opened. So I'm so excited. She's so small and cute, and she fits in my back pocket. I am getting a case, a sleep cover case for it that should arrive today, so excited. But yes, that is everything. Like I said, we're in a week from now we will be boarding our cruise ship, and that is a whole week, so probably not going to see you for another 2 weeks. And that's if I feel like making a video, because we come back on a Sunday, and then I'll have the next Monday off to recuperate and unpack and all that fun stuff, and then I'm right back at work. So it might be a little while before I have a video up, so I think I will have a video that I've already made. I made it like last month, but I never posted it, so I might put that up just to have something up. But yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna see if I read anything else for the rest of this month. My mood has been, you know, kind of on and off. But yeah, that's all I got. Let me know what you're currently reading. Let me know what you thought about any of the books that I talked about today. And that'll do it. Comment down below, or if you just want to leave an emoji, just let me know here. How about something bloody or pink or red or glass or blood or anything for the night guest. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.